It might help if I unmute. Shit. All right, it's one of those days, huh? Okay. All right. I'm sitting here talking. I'm all ready. I'm gonna do this. And then I'm on mute. Partly because of the pollen, by the way. I'm just having like the worst allergy season. I don't know what the deal is. Well, I know what the deal is. It's Pacific Northwest. It's Oregon. Lots of pollen. Those of you who deal with it, you get it. Doug Zanger, editor-in-chief of Indie Agency News. Thank you so much. Our brief is very simple. We're here to build the global home for independent agencies. Our mission is to serve independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. And our goal is more visibility for indies, more choice for marketers. And a big piece of this, too, is ensuring that, that we help you as members get more visibility. And it doesn't have to be here. And we should be part of the diet. You don't just eat ham all day. You get a vegetable or two, maybe a starch. The biggest piece is making sure that you end up where you want to end up. So if that's the trades, we are all for that. And we are here to help our members maybe get their pitches a little tighter, give them a better chance to land. And we have done that for several members. The other side of it is that we're able to give our journalist friends, one of whom we're bringing on here shortly, we're able to give them better quality stuff. So, consider us a little bit of a consultative layer, as it were. But there are a bunch of other benefits as well. Go to indieagency.news. You can reach out to me. Happy to talk. Tomorrow, Meet an Indie Agency Day, Ready, Set, Rocket. Thursday is Indie Work. I think we're going to do a repeat of that. And then Friday, Fun and Games, Liar, Liar. Still looking for some contestants on that. Make sure that you get to us. Again, indieagency.news. We want you to get the commensurate credit for being a great indie. That was the shittiest broadcast segue into the conversation today. Lindsay, that was terrible.
I didn't think it was terrible.
No, it was terrible. It was like, listen, I'm very abundantly aware of my DJ isms. Act one of my career was on radio. I wasn't a very good DJ. I was pretty good morning show producer, but DJ, not so. You know what it was? I was terrified. I'd crack the mic and then that was Leonard Ronstadt, and you're listening to.
I didn't imagine that. You're so
where the music matters, Steely Dan. Yeah, I'd freak out. I'd panic.
That's hilarious. I could not imagine that, but
well, it was a long time ago, and quite frankly, there are more people on this stream than listen to that station. So I don't know why I got so jammed up about it, but what are you gonna do? But credit. First of all, a little background for all of you. Lindsay and I, Lindsay is at Ad Age, senior reporter. Lindsay and I spent a couple of years together at Adweek, and I consider her one of the people that helped me become a much better journalist. So it was you, Patrick Coffey, Griner. There was a whole slew of people. Mm-hmm. Eric Oster, Minda Smiley. Just that whole crew. So I guess call this a public thank you for all the things you did to help me get better as a professional. So
thank you. You as well. I learned a lot from you as well.
God help you. Okay. No, we had a great time. We really did. We really, really did. But I want to cut into this piece that, it's just us. So we're just repeating that. So I'm going to stop that screen. How about I go to a screen? On you, it's been a day, Lindsay. It's been a day. So let's go over here, because this is a very, very interesting topic that you've illuminated and put out into the light. A lot of times these conversations around credit and who should get credit tend to they're a little more private. There are people out there who are willing to talk about credit. Yeah. I worked for one, Kristen Cavallo, at the Martin Agency, and there are several others that are being a bit more forward and upfront. Ollie McAteer is watching us. Jesus Christ! All right, well, welcome. But it is a really, really important conversation to have. And this goes partly into my contention. I want to tee up my thoughts on this. The thing about awards, because we are in awards season. Oh, an award is a reward for a job well done, in my opinion. When it's approached that way, I think it's a great benefit to attracting talent. I do think it's a great benefit for business development. Now, take it one step further. When it's not about awards, getting that commensurate credit, I believe, number one, is important. And number two, it should be evergreen, because we hear, and I'm not going to single anybody out here, but and this is the exception, not the rule, where I've, in my experience, and I just take this from my experience, where a brand says, oh yeah, they might say publicly they're a partner, but then privately you start peeling the onion back a little bit. And I understand that an agency is a vendor relationship, but I go back and I'll hammer on this over and over again. And I give Bob Hoffman credit for this. Agencies do something very unique for brands and helping them solve business problems. Mm-hmm. They should absolutely, in my opinion, get credit for it. So teeing that up, I'd like you to go through, Lindsay, let's go through the article and really where you went with it and some of the things that you learned.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I think, to start, it was kind of like the issue would seem to be bubbling up again. And this is a long-standing issue, clients not giving credit to agencies for their work. So I was kind of investigating that. I was at a recent Own It event for women-owned agencies, and it kind of just a bunch of audience members started talking about it and what they do to navigate it, because they felt like they couldn't market their own agency and they can't talk about this work, and it's really frustrating. So I was kind of like, well, what's causing this to bubble up again? I think it's that there are a lot of new agencies and they're just starting out. They probably have a lot of like blue chip big clients, and they're not allowed to talk about this work. So they're like, well, how does anyone find out about us? So I think that's kind of where it started, that this issue started bubbling up again. And then some small agency leaders who I was talking to were like, yeah, we're trying to push back on that. The CEO, Leanne Leahy of VIA, she was saying they try to put it into their MSAs, like right at the beginning, trying to negotiate that we can both promote the work that we do, things like that. So I kind of got to the conclusion that small agencies, as they rise up, and there's this whole shift to project work, and they're seeing the issue time and time again about not being able to promote it. They're starting to fight back, and I think that's really encouraging. So yeah, I mean, it's important. It's important to these small agencies. It's important for them to get new business and get their name out there. So yeah, and it goes back to the running gag. And by the way, if you want to throw your comments in, please do. If you do actually want to join, just let us know and I'll flip you over the link to join us. But the joke was for a long time that agencies are great at marketing their clients' brands, but not great at marketing themselves. Yeah.
And it's very heartening to hear that agencies are starting to push back. And what I'm seeing is it's not necessarily simply here. I think we're starting to see it in payment terms. We're starting to see it in scope creep. All of the things that we've grumbled and groused about. And I will just say this. I'm a big fan of playing offense. And part of the reason that we exist in the first place, this little platform, is we want to play offense. We want to play offense for our members, but we also want to play offense for the industry. And there will always be agencies and people willing to lowball, which I'm not a fan of. I understand the business ramifications of it. Yet over time, and I've seen this in the past 5 years, again, my own experience and observations, that we're starting to see less of that. people are starting to understand their value, their important value as an agency. And I love that energy is fighting back. Now, there's also this argument that uh, there are a lot of smaller agencies popping up. They may have the luxury of saying, we don't necessarily need this work, but we can fight a little bit. And I think when you start looking in the aggregate, that's I think I just think it's a good thing, and I think it's a confidence thing. I always say, brands, trust your agencies. Your agencies, and by the way, brief them really well. When you trust your agencies, great things can happen. This is from Shannon Jones at Verb. So, Shannon, you're on a plane. I didn't even notice that. Oh, well, good to know that the stream worked. Yeah, and what have you observed or learned about how agencies get around this? And you're right, should be negotiated in, but what have you learned about agencies and how they sometimes get around this little thing? I have my thoughts, but I'm interested in what you learned.
Yeah, I a lot of agencies, I don't think wanted to admit it, but being on the journalism end, I know that they leak it to the press sometimes, and
Sure.
there is, risks and rewards to weigh in that. You're also kind of you might hurt your relationship with a client. Maybe that's not always the best tactic, but I know that definitely happens, and some people did mention that they will do that. I talked to this one agency founder who was like, hey, we just went punk rock and we announced it anyway. And then we asked for forgiveness later. And it turns out that in that situation, it did work out. I'm not saying that it's going to work out every time. Sure. But this person told me that their client was much more open to promoting work after that, because they were like, well, you might just promote it anyway. So let's at least work it out. And then, there's another thing. You have to get close to all the parties that are kind of involved in this. There's the PR layer. A lot of times clients just want their own PR teams to handle the announcement. And sometimes they'll say, hey, we'll throw you a line in our press release, like worked with this agency partner.
They won't.
Yeah, sometimes they won't. Sometimes
they're full of shit sometimes.
Yeah. So you have to get, I think Leanne Leahy was one of the ones who said that. She was like, we get really close to the PR partners. We get in there. We explain why it matters to us. You believe in advertising too. This is our form of advertising. So if you can explain it to that way and like befriend all the parties involved, procurement, legal, they're more willing to, I think, work with you.
Yeah. Really good points there. Get your business affairs team involved as you're going through the negotiations. Get it in the MSA. Got acronyms. Lindsay, let's just throw out some acronyms. Get it in there, and the earlier, the better. And I'll say that in general about comms. And PR is one component of comms. Comms goes a lot of different directions. The earlier you get involved, especially in the creative process, the better story you're going to be able to tell. The other thing too is that when you do bring comms people in, they're going to be able to flag certain things. And this has been my experience and also observation, is that when you bring as many people in on the comms side, they can think about those. It's like, well, maybe this works, maybe this doesn't work, and it could inform the work. And a good creative leader will say, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense." And so the credit piece of it, there have been cases I've seen, to your point, Lindsay, where there were the flat out, we're just doing it, and then there's a little bit of an okey doke where the work is out there, maybe from the brand, and then there are little breadcrumbs where maybe the agency shares it and reposts it saying, we were so proud to work on this, which I think is good. I mean, honestly, I think that's a good way into it. And yeah, ideally, if you have a brand or a client that says, okay, we're going to do all the PR, we're going to throw you a bone, really pushing honestly for just an agency mention, that puts it on the record. And that allows you to really publicly say we're celebrating this work.
Yeah, and I think that's another point too, is that some clients will allow you to talk about it after the news is out there. Like, we want to handle the press around it, and then you can go into depth about your part in it later. But
Yeah.
from by that point, it's old news, and journals don't really care
Yeah.
about it anymore. So it depends on how big the campaign is, I guess.
It's that, but here was the thing that you and I used to talk about
Mhm.
when we were working together is, yeah, you got this hit, but what are you gonna do with it? Because even if something, even if it's, yeah, you might not necessarily get a journalist to be interested in it. However, you now have materials as an agency that you can use in your owned channels. And I can't stress this enough, the being able to take something that exists, and it's a piece of clay, and you have an opportunity to mold it and to be able to go into more depth, because part of that is, number one, hey, we participated and we were part of this work, and we were a big part of this work, and here's how. If I'm a marketer and I see this,
Mhm.
whether it's going, searching for just LinkedIn, whatever, wherever it shows up, that allows you to add more depth. And I mean, I would say this all the time, and I still say this: you have a choice as an agency. You can have a hit or you can have a story, right? Which one do you want? You may not necessarily have the luxury of being able to be part of the first hit, but you sure as hell have all the control in the world to tell your story around what exists out there.
Yeah, and you can do that on social media. I mean, clients see work out there and they might not see it, for weeks, months, and then they say, who's the agency behind that work? Because I really like it and I
Yeah,
want that for myself. And then they can go and search. And if you've put it out somewhere publicly, I'm sure they'll find you. So
I'm scrolling through your article here,
mm,
trying to find what was. I mean, I did like this. Picking your battles.
yeah.
That's a really interesting point, because you do have to weigh, yeah, is it worth it for us? Let's see. Wait, oh, geez. Okay, hold on. Robert, hold on. Ba, 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 ba. Oh God, look at how long that is. Oh, okay. No, it's too long, Robert. I'll send you the link though. Hold on. Let me invite him. So hold on. Let me see if I can get him real quick. Let's see if we can get him on the horn.
Yeah, I feel like it would be best to hear from,
Yeah,
people.
but here, Riff. Hold on. All right. I'm texting you, Robert. By the way, real quick plug. These techniques, A800, courtesy of Robert and Left Off Madison. We're giving some of these away in Cannes. Okay, I said it. I'm going to Cannes. We're going to give these away, and there's a reason for that, but I'll talk about that later. So the workaround. Oh, you talked to Mickey. Oh yeah, Mickey Agondo. So let's talk about picking battles. What you learned about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends, if you want to, risk the relationship, you feel like it's a really great piece of work and you want to put it out there and you feel like I don't care if it, jeopardizes my relationship, like maybe you don't have a great relationship with the client to begin with. But if you do have a good relationship with your client, I'm sure they'll forgive you, but I don't know. I'm not trying to give anyone advice here. I think it's just, yeah, with weighing the risks. How
Yeah.
good of a client is this? What are their reasons behind not promoting work? Maybe, sometimes the marketer, the brand marketer really wants to put the work out and they're hearing
Right.
it from up top. And do you want to make their lives harder? It's just, I think it really comes down to what you feel comfortable doing, how comfortable you are in the relationship, how great this piece of work is, and how much that's going to benefit you by getting it out there and your name out there.
Hey, look at this. It was like a live show. There he is. What's cooking, man?
How you doing?
Look at these gems. Look at them. Oh, they're beautiful.
Looks good on you.
Okay, so let's go back to your comment. Jesus God, this isn't War and Peace. What do you want to say?
I gave 4 points. That was it. I tried to condense it.
It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in the banner. No, but seriously, go through all of your points. This is great that you're weighing in on this.
All right.
And go back to reference it and what you said. You said one, One piece. Do the smaller agencies need to take stock of what they're? Okay, go. Let's go piece by piece.
Yeah. So I think Lindsay's article was great and it touched a lot of nerves in me from historical as well as currently. But it makes me also wonder too, in the context, I felt like with the audiences that Lindsay was dealing with and the people that are tuning into this conversation, when they want to talk about their work and all these new startups, they're talking about one piece of work. That's great, but it's like, it's fleeting and it's a moment. So are they really taking, the question is, should they be taking stock on a longer term strategy of what their communication pipeline is? If they're a smaller agency, are they going to have enough work to come back every quarter with like, look at this new campaign, look at this next new campaign that we've got cooking, or whatever the case may be? So the query is, maybe the smaller agencies that are struggling to get the work, their name and their work out there, is really take stock in their, I'll call it their own earned media strategy plan and approach.
Right.
After they get this new piece of work out, what's next and what's after that?
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm not sitting here trying to sell our wares, but the whole thing about Indie Agency News is we sit somewhere in the middle where it's a combination of earned and owned, where we're trying to create materials where we want you to use them, like use this. But again, as an agency that's just starting out, the buzz really does matter. But I have seen, like, I'm not going to name agencies, but there are a bunch over the past year, 2 years that maybe got out of the gate hot, but I haven't heard from since. Yeah. Right. So it's building some consistency.
Yes.
In that story. And I think that, when you frame it as owned media, I think you can put yourself in this box of predictability. Whereas when you do think strategically about your narrative and how it affects your visibility and how you tell that story, I mean, we're agencies. We're really good at telling stories. Why are we so shitty at telling our own sometimes?
Yeah. And then the second part was like, the second part I had to the spark was really about, and it was framing up another piece that you and Lindsay were just talking about too. There's a lot of different points within Lindsay's article about, the MSA and getting them on board. But, part of our job is also to make our clients understand what is their own earned media strategy plan and approach. Like our work doesn't stop at just paid advertising. So maybe we should be leaning in a little bit harder to help them understand the missed opportunities, the opportunities on the plate. Maybe a Lindsay wants to talk to a client about some other unrelated topic about X, Y, or Z. So that's a missed opportunity, I think, for the smaller agencies to lean in on that topic.
Yeah. What's 3?
Yeah. 3 is just because an MSA, it's always the finance and operation people. My point of view is the finance and operation people know it's in there, but everybody else forgets it's in there. That's in the MSA. So
okay.
If you just sort of, it's in there, but you just sort of move on, like get people on the phone and get the PR strategy plan and going, get this earned media. It's like people just move on. Only the finance and operations people on an MSA that you did sign 2 or 3 years ago, they're the only ones that probably know.
Right.
And then I think the fourth, would I have a fourth thing?
It was truncated on my side, so I only got part of 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 4 isn't
is the best way to interact with you, honestly. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. And the fourth one was just like, it's kind of a weird, catchy thing, but if you can get somebody else in the industry to start talking about your work on there, so if they're unaffiliated by the agency, does somebody at another agency talk to Lindsay or Lindsay's peers about a particular project that they know intimately about, and then sort of passively informs that squad?
Yeah, the other acronym for MSA, Mutual Society of Admiration. I know it's the other way around, but I just thought that was. But that is really interesting, and it is cool. I do love it when I see other agencies giving props to agencies about their work, because I do think that does have a knock-on effect. Lindsay, your thoughts on downloading everything that Rob just said? Your thoughts?
My thoughts? No, I mean, if you can get someone else to vouch for your work, especially from like a journalist perspective, I'd say that's definitely a winning that's a winning strategy. Earned media is growing more and more important, so I could see that argument. And I did hear after the article went live, some people had like texted me or reached out to me and said that was, you know, negotiating and then trying to I think like promote that to clients is working as well.
Oh, good.
Of earned media, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, I think your points are all very valid. Yeah.
Good to hear you. I'll stay tuned and listen in for the rest.
Oh, well, we're almost done.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, but thank you for the headphones again. God, these are so good, Lindsay. Seriously, the Technics A800. I'm just gonna leave it at this. You can hear everything the way it was meant to be heard. There you go. There's your strap.
Lindsay, let me know if you need any. See you later. Bye.
Yeah. See you. Bye. All right. I don't want to belabor the point, but this was great. This was really great, and there are a few extra nuggets that we added to this. And I love what you said, Lindsay. I'm not here to give advice. You're not. That's not your job. That's my job. Uncle Advertising. That's part of my nickname. I'll give you advice. Sometimes it might be sketchy.
You do it, yeah.
sometimes my advice might be a little sketchy, but hopefully it makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means either. But I love this. Lindsay, what else do you have coming up?
Coming up. Well, I just started an education series.
Really?
And yeah, we thought a lot of times as Ad Age, trade publications in general, we speak to our audience and we think, you know, they're informed on everything. We're talking to executives and CMOs, but I think there are a lot of people who are just like wanting to learn about advertising or even start a new job within advertising. Things are changing so much, you know, so we started an education series to help people do their jobs better, break into advertising. The second story just came out. It's on how to land a corporate board seat, which was something that I think a lot of ad and marketing professionals are interested in doing. The first one was how to navigate the gig economy. And I am looking into, you know, how to navigate a jury seat. Like how do you get on the jury?
Oh God. With the Michael Cohen stuff going on, I had to pause for a second. No, please continue.
So, I mean, if there are any jury, you know, members out there who want to, you know, for awards shows,
Right.
What do you expect when you get on a jury? What do you do? All that sort of stuff, and open to ideas for anything going forward, and how to navigate a specific job to break into a certain department, anything. So. Right.
I can tell you on a jury, it's not as glamorous as people think.
There you go. That's
fun.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's not necessarily glamorous. That's for sure. Okay. That's very, very cool. Yeah. You know, hit us up. You know, Portland State University, we're educators. So that's one of the other hats that I wear aside in addition to this, but yeah, we're happy to participate in that one. Anything else?
Anything else?
Personal? Like what's a good restaurant in Jersey people should go to?
Oh God, I don't go out much anymore because I have a 2-year-old.
Yeah, you have a 2-year-old, so you're eating mac and cheese over the sink. I get it. Yeah.
Plug. It's a good pizza place in South Amboy if you're ever in there.
What is it called?
Shorentino's.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a really good, like thin crust pizza. It's you know, drinks. It's a nice environment too. So
yes,
the area.
Yeah. A little chill.
I'll plug them.
There you go. I like it. A little shameless promotion. I love it. I'm going to put you backstage for a second, but Lindsay, as always, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Just hang out backstage for me. Again, a reminder, tomorrow is Meet an Indie Agency Day. We got Ready, Set, Rocket out of New York. Thursday, no idea. Probably rerun something. But we do want to hear from you about your indie work. And again, a reminder that anything on indie work, it doesn't have to necessarily be new. It can be from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last year. It does not matter. We just want to go through the work and, to Lindsay's point, educate people about part of the process. And then on Friday, fun and games, liar, liar. Still looking for a contestant on that one. Reach out, indieagency.news, to learn more about membership. You can go to the same spot, indieagency.news. There you can get a little bit of time with me. Happy to walk you through the platform and our mission to serve independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. On behalf of all of us here at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.